Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Community Crossfire, another point of view. I'm your host, Norman Oliver. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to get on the phone and call your friends and cousins and brothers and anyone who you can think of. We're going to have an open and honest dialogue about race relations in our community, in our state, in our county, in the world. A lot of important stuff has been coming out, especially as it relates to the Trayvon Martin case. There's been a lot of rallies around the country. There's been a lot of rallies around the city. As a matter of fact, there's a rally going on right now. I want to talk to you candidly, and I want some intelligent callers tonight. The president made a point. What he said is, being a black man in America, that every once in a while you're going to experience that, and I have, you know. But I want to also talk about us as a people, but I also want folks to call in white, black, Hispanic, Asian, rich, poor, from all walks of life, because this is a serious discussion. I think that we got to also start talking. We're going to do a 2-hour special, and we're just going to talk tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Let's put all the bull behind. Let's put all the laughter and joking behind. I mean, well, we still can laugh and joke a little. But let's have a serious discussion. A couple of things I want to throw out. I'd never heard of the lady Paula Deen, for instance. I'd never heard of her before in my life. And she used the N-word. And she lost a lot of endorsements, and a lot of people got upset and up in arms. Should she lose all those endorsements for saying that 20 years ago? And a lot of folks, a lot of rappers right now use the word almost every day on their records. And I'm asking you, because we just talking, should there be different standards, or because the connotation, because the verbiage, because of the word coming from a white hurts differently coming at us? Also, the Trayvon Martin case, we can talk to several people. You could, I have a lot of white friends, all of us, a lot of black friends, a lot of Hispanic friends, and folks could look at the same case and look at it differently. The Rodney King case, everyone saw Rodney King get beat by these officers, and they got acquitted. They said these guys were innocent. Everybody in their eyes saw that these guys were beating this guy with a billy club, and they got acquitted. So there were riots all over. O.J. Simpson, a lot of folks, again, felt that the blacks, I don't know how they felt. I don't know. Some blacks thought that he was innocent, guilty. But also, let me say this. I'm gonna be jumping everywhere. A lot of folks out there rallying, a lot of people out there marching are not just blacks. I see a lot of white people out there marching, thinking that Trayvon Martin case was wrong. So we can't put everybody in one barrel. But also, what I want us to do, I got a couple emails, for instance, right? I got a text message about this show from a guy from the Tea Party. And then we try to find it while we're talking. His name is Evan. I had him on the show. This is what this guy had to say. I think I erased it. But basically what he was saying was, oh, here it is. This is what the guy from the Tea Party said. He said, looking forward to the race relations episode tonight. Seems to me from all of the conversations I've had that the only people who ever talk about race are people who stand to gain from race issues. I have nothing to gain from that, by the way. He said, I've never had a conversation with anyone involved with the Tea Party or the conservative movement that is fixated on race ever, yet often are considered violently racist. Basically what he's saying is the conservatives and the people from the Tea Party never have conversations dealing with racism. And I'm like, huh? You know, I was reading an article. Let me give you a couple things, couple issues. We haven't opened the phone lines up yet. I know people want to talk about race already, but hold up for a second. Call back in a minute. Call back in a few. I'm looking at the article. When I saw Chris Barris from the News Journal writing about Delaware State, I'm telling you how I feel about the guy. I think, in my opinion, I think Chris Barris is a bigot. That's just me. Maybe he's the nicest guy in the world, but I watched the way he treated the blacks in, in some of those cases. This guy was going at our throats. I mean, and by the way, I called the News Journal and talked to Norman Lockman and Curtis Riddle, who was the publisher then, about Chris Bears. I remember this guy one time saying that all blacks wore do-rags, like Allen Iverson, something stupid like that. So that's how I felt. Also, I felt guys like Tom Wagner is borderline like that. That's how I felt, because I've been on that side, so I know what the president's saying. I went to a bank the other day. I felt like I had to bring out all kinds of credentials, and then once they look at your account and you name drop and they see who you know, then, because sometimes I dress like this. Sometimes I wear jeans. So I know some people, you feel like that. I've been executive director of my own agency for 14 years. I've been a businessman for 14 years. And I still feel sometimes that I have to prove myself. I mean, I read the article how they beating up Michelle Taylor now. And I don't have to take up for Michelle Taylor, but I knew it from United Way, because people think that she's making a couple dollars. And let me play the devil's advocate too, because we're going to talk about whatever you want to talk about, because I'm not afraid. Also, let me talk about I feel that sometimes in our community, blacks, who have positions but don't, and they can look at the same applicants, the same guys, but they won't give the black guy an opportunity. Say, now you got to be better. Why do we have to be better? You hear that all the time. You got to be so much better. If you look at, subliminal stuff, right? If you look at when they talk about RG3, the quarterback, they say this guy is very athletic, he's elusive, this and that, but Andrew Luck is smart, brilliant, and intelligent. It's words like that. And we, as a people, we hurt each other too, And then also, let's talk about classism. Some of this stuff has nothing to do with racism. It has everything to do with classism. We could look at our justice system. I dealt with it and dealt with a person in my family, and I saw it firsthand. So some things we experience and some things you experience. Is racism alive and well in 2013? Is this a discussion that we really should have? I think it's time for us to have a discussion. What's funny, I think that our league was one of the most diverse leagues in the country, because we never looked at race. So when the kids came down from Sally's or St. Mark's, and like I remember John Gordon put me in his speech when he got inducted to the Delaware State Hall of Fame, but Terrence Stansberry would do the same thing, because we didn't care. It's only until some of these folks who still got that hatred in their heart, who still think that people should be subordinate, you know what I mean? It's always going to be like that. It's not even going to be our son's generation. It's going to be a generation after theirs. I think things are going to get better. And how do you feel? Do you think that the whole Zimmerman thing was about racism? Look, I come to find out, I didn't know that, two of the jurors, were NRA member, part of the gun carrying thing. I didn't know that Stanford, Florida was so conservative, and all these folks would, none of them tell you that somebody was coming visiting a lady talking to them why they were supposed to be sequestered. Is that right? But then, only thing I know is I have a son, but then some folks want to play, well, why aren't you outraged about the shootings of black on black in the city of Wilmington? I seem to disagree with that. I'm totally outraged. I think the minister is outraged. I think the NAACP is outraged. I think a lot of folks are outraged. But when you see this kind of stuff happening, and you've seen it happen numerous times, it gets frustrating. So what I want you to do this tonight, right? First of all, I'm dedicating this show. I was talking to Keith Starkey and Jeff Starkey. I know their brother-in-law watches the show all the time. I'm sorry I forgot your name, but I just say Brother Starkey, Donna Starkey's husband. I'm dedicating the show to him. What we want to do tonight, we want to open the phone lines up all night. We're going to talk for like 2 hours about, let's deal with classism. Let's deal with stuff in our own communities. Let's deal with our community issues. Because we do have issues in our communities. Let's not get it wrong. I just rode up here today and I heard somebody just got shot on 3rd and Clayton. Again. Let's talk about this no snitch policy. Let's get it on. Hey, Alvin, put the phone, open it up. And again, what we're going to do, I want to have an intelligent conversation. Get whatever you want off your mind, man. Let's talk. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Storm, what's happening?
How you doing?
Welcome to the show. John Robinson.
Hey, John, turn your phone down a little bit, okay? Because we hear echo.
How's that?
That's better. Go ahead, buddy.
All right. You did say you were going to jump all over the place, and, I'll jump with you a little bit. First of all, you brought up Paula Deen at the top of the show. And should she lose her endorsements for using the N-word like 20 years ago? And from a business and from an economic perspective, I think the answer is yes, because of the fact that you have someone who has demonstrated themselves as being a racist that a lot of your consumers are going to take umbrage to. And here in 2013, even though she says, okay, I said this 20 years ago, when these things that she brought up that were said in her deposition, such as hiring a whole bunch of black men and putting bow ties and tuxedos on them to make it an old-time slave dinner where the slaves served the masters, she said, well, they were dressed nice and they really looked good and it was a very elegant affair. I mean, she still doesn't seem to get it. So that's why she loses her endorsements in 2013 for something that she said 20 years ago, because in 2013, her naivete as far as racism still comes shining through. So that's why you take Paula Deen's endorsements away.
Hey, John, let me ask you another question. Should places who endorse people, and I don't listen to some of the rap, like little this or little that or big this, who are getting endorsement from Coke or Pepsi, and they're saying N, like every other word, should they take their endorsements away also?
Well, if they so choose, they can, and we would not be in a position to get up in arms about it if you turn around with the same voice and say, okay, you're going to take Paula Deen's endorsements away. But what I want people to understand is we've suffered 300 years of injustice. There's a lot that came with slavery, more than just the brutality side of things. We are the only people in the entire world who have lost their lineal heritage. We have surnames that were not that would not be given to us had we not been taken as slaves. If you walk up to any given African American, they can't tell you what part of Africa they come from. I just had the blessing to go to Kenya this past May, and we flew into Nairobi, and I don't even know if I was among my tribesmen or not.
Hey, John,
and that's a shame.
Hey, John, wow, thank you for the call, and I hope you call back. Shoot, I wish you could come down here and join me, because I'm going to be sitting up here for 2 hours talking about this, because this is a serious topic. Thank you, buddy. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Norman.
How you doing?
Good. How do you feel about the Trayvon Martin case?
First of all, I feel bad. I think, me personally, I think the guy, something should have happened. I mean, I think he should have got manslaughter.
Yes.
I mean, me personally, this guy shot and killed somebody. I mean, what I can't understand is Michael Vick got convicted for dog abuse, and he's served like 3-4 years in jail. I'm not sure. This guy killed a human being. I think he should got some time. Thank you for the call.
Thank you.
That was a younger first person too. How you doing? Welcome to the show. Hello?
Hi.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi. I would like to know, do you think that if that was a white Caucasian man who got killed, a 13-year-old Caucasian, do you think that a black man would have gotten a life sentence?
Yep. And also, let me. I'm sorry. Also, I think that law down in Florida sucks. And also, I don't really understand when they say that stand your ground. And I get a lot of different interpretations. So maybe a lawyer call in, because I'm hearing that a young black woman in Florida shot a gun in the air and got 10, 15 years. Shot a gun in the air. And this guy killed somebody and got off. I don't understand. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hi, Norman. I'd like to ask you one question.
Uh-huh.
the jury that was picked to try the gentleman, how come they said they didn't know, never heard of that case before? And China, Russia, and everybody heard it, and they live in the community, and they were picked on the jury saying they never heard anything about that case.
Yeah, and from my, again, I'm not a lawyer, but from my understanding, not only did they hear about it, a lot of these people socialize in the same community, and also, your phone is up. I'm gonna try to answer it. Also, what I'm hearing is the guy's father was a judge, Zimmerman's father. So I mean, it's somebody else who watched the case and know more about it than me. Maybe you could call in. And we want to talk about a lot of stuff. Let's talk about gun violence even in our communities. Everything. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
How you doing?
How you doing?
This is 2013 or 1913 or 1813. Racism still the same.
You know what I want to ask? Are you before you hang up? I wonder if the outcome would have been any different if this guy shot somebody down in Sussex County, Delaware, right here in Delaware. You know, because they're very conservative in some parts of this state. What you think?
They get shot in Claremont, Newark, or California. Racism still the same.
All right, thank you for your call. You understand what I'm saying? In some areas, the verdict and the jury would have looked at this the same way. Right here in this state. We don't have to go to Florida. Again, this is just my opinion. You give me yours. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hi. Two things I want to bring up. You said about the N-word and rappers using it in their lyrics. I think we should be fully disgraced for ever using that word, especially since it was used to describe us as a people during slavery. You see no other race using such a derogatory word to describe themselves. When the NAACP buried that word, it should have never come out of our mouths. Now, since that time, even before that, we should hold ourselves to a higher standard. We are very proud people, and that is just a way of putting us at a low level. And for us to use it ourselves, other races are looking at us laughing. I think it's terrible. But with the Trayvon Martin's case, I think it was all a setup. Everything, a lot of things were put into place before that man was even put in jail. It was 48 hours, if I'm saying it correctly, before he went to jail after that incident took place. It was just terrible. The whole thing was just set up. And he should have gotten some time. He didn't even get probation, if anything.
Let me ask you another question. Thank you for this call, too. You sound very enlightened about stuff. Should we be just as up and armed, and this is not to minimize anything or highlight anything, should we be just as upset for the young person who just got shot on 3rd and Clayton? We've had record shootings in this in our neighborhoods in the city for the last, 10, 15 years. I just heard that a young lady was in a funeral. She was at a funeral in Chicago and got shot at a funeral. I mean, should we be marching just as hard for that too?
We sure should be, because guns shouldn't come into play to settle disputes.
Hey,
we don't need guns for that. That's not what guns are for.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's a good point. Let me ask folks this. You know, a couple things. You know, we talk about the N-word, we talk about classism, we talk about racism, we talk about things that happen. Should we be also marching about how poorly our educational system is? I mean, how poorly that some of our kids are coming out of high schools that can't read or write. I mean, come on, man. Let's have a serious dialogue here. Let's not play with this. How you doing? Let's go. I'm here for the next hour and a half.
How you doing? Let's go. Yeah, I had a cousin that.
Turn your TV down first.
Okay. I had a cousin that. Okay. Oh shit. Hold on.
Wow. You gotta watch that word on here, okay? How you doing? Welcome to the show.
How you doing, Norman?
I'm fine. Go ahead, you on?
Okay, my name is Jalal.
And
Norman, I'm in agreement with you. I see that you're covering some real hard major points when you say Michael Vick, you know, and the dogs, and when you look at your situation here and you recognize and understand that the same thing can happen here. I like to commend you, man, on your knowledge and your clear understanding of where we are.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, let me, Jalal, because I know you, right? You probably get it right in your job, right? People.
Well, Norman, I like to just look at it as an American shame. And, you know, when you look at this country, if you just recognize with the case itself, a lot of people don't know that this individual named Koch, who owns a manufacturing company, was providing $30,000 a month for Zimmerman.
Yeah.
Now, this guy, he's a manufacturer of paper products.
Mm-hmm. I heard that.
And he deals with toilet paper, brownie paper, towels, and Dixie plates and things like that. But the thing I'm trying to say, let's just look at it in real terms because of the double standard, if we can. If I can say, if we look at our backdrop of kidnapping, rape, and murder, we go further after that and look at, okay, after the so-called Civil War, we had to induce a 13th Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
In this 13th Amendment, it says that slavery should be abolished, except as a form of servitude after being duly convicted. To me, that created the criminal justice system. But since then, you mentioned, or somebody mentioned, Jim Crow. But what about the bombings of Oklahoma and the bombings in Philadelphia and the bombings in Alabama? And when you talk about, convicting innocent people, somebody has to be telling a lie somewhere because that person is not guilty. And this guy named Barry Shack has uncovered a lot of criminal activities, and what bothers me is that none of these people are ever researched and found guilty for the devastation that they caused by finding someone guilty who was not guilty.
Hey, Jalal,
so we're looking at...
Jalal, you said a mouthful, man. I tell you, what he's saying is a lot of things that are happening that we're not even dealing with. And you know what? What I'm hoping that I see the phone lines are going to be jumping all night. I want to hear from some conservatives. I want to hear from all sides. You know, I want to hear different. I'm telling you, I can have an open dialogue with someone, and they can look at the same case, look at it totally different than I. Should we continue to keep marching? Is that the answer? Or should we start looking to be at the table to get economic improvement, economic development for our communities? Because I think that at some point, once we start getting the financial wherewithal, how you doing? Yo, what's going on?
Hi, this is Nataki.
Yeah, and you got something. I hear like something's really loud. Something's going on there.
Okay, hold on. Let me change this. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's a lot better. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm calling. I'm not watching the show right now, so I'm not really sure what's going on. But I want to discuss the matter that has happened in the city of Wilmington in reference to my son, who's 11 years old. He was on the camp trip at the Christiana Mall in the Microsoft store. A white employee approached him and 3 other young men at this camp trip and accused them of smoking marijuana in the bathroom. They were ordered to be searched. They searched themselves, patted themselves down, proved that they didn't have anything on them. A white gentleman was also identified as using the bathroom also at this time. There was nobody found out who this man was. They focused on these 3 black boys. After they were searched, they were intimidated by being told that there are cameras watching them. I have been fighting with the Boys and Girls Club as to any repercussions, anything that's going to happen in this situation. There has been none. I have been told that they didn't have to follow me. I am one parent out of 20,000, and they don't understand why I'm fighting for my child's rights in order for him to walk the mall, not be accused at 11 years old of smoking illegal drugs, and be in order to be searched in a public place in front of his peers and customers.
Mm-hmm. Have you gotten in touch with anyone at the mall?
I have called the mall, and just put me on hold. No resolution there. I have filed complaints with agencies in the city to try to get some help with this situation, and I'm hoping that this week, I just came from the rally and I spoke to some people up there, and I'm hoping that they'll be able to help me with this situation as far as going forward and finding out why Microsoft is allowing their policies to allow their staff and employees to handle children in this way, and they're not using any type of sensitive or ethical policies to know that you cannot handle children like this, and they have rights.
Thank you so very much. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
How you doing, Pastor D? How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing, buddy?
Listen, I'm glad you're gonna be all over the place. I'll finally get to vent on some things. I'll take 3 of the subjects you raised into one, Norm. I just left the rally, and I'll allude to that we had a very successful rally on Rodney Square. Your previous caller alluded to. First thing, Paula Dean, you said you started with her. I agree with your first caller that she should be treated as she is with respect to her endorsement, not because of what she said 20 years ago, Norm, but because she has benefited from the very people that she has discriminated against in the way she pays them. She has pretended not to hold these views and attitudes, got the chicken recipe from a black woman, built her chicken business on a black woman, got her boost into the supernatural financial status from a black woman. Thank you, Oprah Winfrey. And then, behind the scenes, she evidences her real feeling about black people. So since the covers are off, and in fact, if you listen to her in her deposition and publicly, she said, I hard enough to be able to make a mistake. In other words, she said, I've earned the right to be bigoted. So I think that we as society, black and white, owe it to justice to say to her, it is not okay for you to hold these views and execute them through a chicken business or business. That's issue 1. Jumping to you raised a very valid point about the N-word and the rapper's use of the N-word versus, I think, Rachel Chantel, this young lady from the Zimmerman case,
right,
beautifully explained to Pierce Morgan the other night when he said to her, is it different when you say she spelled it out. She said, if you say Nigger to a black person and you are a white person, you are in trouble. Because to us, this generation, she kept saying, this generation, my generation views Nigga as a term of endearment. And even the Bible says, be not overcome with evil, but overcome evil with good, which means take something that was bad and flip it and make it good. And with this generation...
Hold on, Pastor, let me ask you a question. You know, sometimes the scary part of that is we open the door to other people to use a mockery of it. I think Rush Limbaugh heard that and said, okay, now I could just use the word because this girl has certified or solidified or given credence to that word. Let me ask you a question, matter of fact, before we go any further. If you're not doing nothing, I'm going to be here for another hour and a half. Come on down and join me.
Okay.
Just come on down to the studio. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Yes, Mr. Oliver.
Yes.
If I heard you correctly, you said before, I think you said that you thought everything was premeditated. I think you're right. I think everything was premeditated
What do you mean?
about Mr. Zimmerman.
No, I don't know if I said was premeditated, but go ahead, finish what you're saying. Go ahead. Why do you think?
I think he knew what he was going to do before he even shot Trayvon.
I think that he wanted to be a cop. I think that.
Yeah, I think so too. That's what they were saying on TV.
Yeah, and I think that he wanted to be a cop, and it got a little too far. I think that I'm not saying that the man intentionally wanted to kill a guy. I think that he wanted to shoot him, but he shouldn't have shot him. That's the bottom line. And once he shot him, and he killed him.
The kid was just coming from the store.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Skittles and Snapples stocks went up. Thank you for your call. Yeah, you know what I mean? I mean, this guy, he was like a vigilante, man. I mean, in my opinion, and let's talk about the violence in our communities too. Let's talk about when we go to church on Sundays, how segregated it is. Oh wow, Storm, you started to touch on some serious stuff here. Yeah, because I'm not afraid. And when you watch this show, would I hope that we can all agree, disagree? Sometimes we agree, sometimes we disagree. But let's take it like that. We're gonna have some callers you're gonna disagree with, but let's be polite. Is that the right word? Let's be honorable. Let's respect everyone's opinion. Is Gundy and Wayne still here? Tell them they can come in and join me. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing? For about that Trayvon Martin case, I was outraged, but at the same time, not surprised. If you think about it, if I'm correct, it was 6 white women that was on that jury.
I'm not exactly sure. I heard it was 5, and they didn't know the nationality of the other person.
Right, but they weren't black, so they put themselves in Zimmerman's place and acquitted him. But one thing I believe in is karma. Just like when Rodney King, the cops got acquitted of that, people got outraged when O.J. was acquitted. So don't be surprised in Florida when a black man gets acquitted for committing a crime against a white person.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, I'm telling you, man, it's getting hot. The phone lines are jumping. We're talking. Matter of fact, I'm asking Wayne to join me, and anybody watching the show, come on down and join if you want to join in on the conversation. I don't know how close you live to it, but let's talk, man. And you know what? And let me talk to some of the white folks who are watching, and because I hear this from some of, Norm, they're scared to talk about the issues, because it gets too deep, and they don't want to be looked at as being a racist if we talk about it. No, you won't look. You talk what's on your mind on this show. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Norman, your show is real interesting, man. But it's kind of an annoyance trying to listen to your commentary and with the phone ringing in the background at the same time.
Thank you.
Could you take care of that?
Thank you very much. Look, you see what it says up there? Please turn down your phone. They just don't turn it down. What can you do?
All right.
How you doing? Oh, I can't. There's nothing I can do about that. Yeah. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
How you doing, Norman?
How you doing?
I think that if I can't understand why we demonstrate about something that happens thousands of miles away, and we don't get alarmed about things that happen across a few blocks away. We have, if we had demonstrations like the one in Rodney Square today about issues about the killings, like what you said might have happened at 3rd and Clayton, or what happened to the little 5-year-old, or what happened to Stan Waterman's nephew, et cetera, et cetera. If we have demonstrations in Rodney Square like that, and we make up our mind that we're going to start telling on little Pookie and all these other, our cousins and nephews and the people across the street, then we would get rid of this stuff. But to sensationalize this whole thing by wearing hoods, nothing gets accomplished like that.
Hey, this is Larry Morris, right?
Yes, it is.
Hey, Larry, let me ask you a question. When you were the president of the NAACP for the state or city of Wilmington, I'm not exactly sure, can you remember any particular case or incident that stands out that you said, wow, this is an incident that we really need to address that deals with racial profiling of racial something in our city, our state, when you during your tenure?
No, I think one issue that we really took to the streets was when the county and the city said that they could not divest from South Africa, that it would just mess up the pension system, and it was impossible for them to take the money out of the economy of South Africa. We did demonstrate several times, but I remember even before that, I'm not sure, I might have been with the youth council of the NAACP when the little girl was shot stealing a peach. I don't know if you remember
Of course,
that.
yeah, that was over South Bridge. We grew up together. Sheila Farrell.
Yeah, yes.
Hey, Larry,
We did.
Hey, Larry, hold on for one second. I brought Wayne on the show too. Wayne, I'm gonna bring Wayne in on the conversation. You brought up an interesting point. Are you saying that, like, some of the marches and some of the things that are going on, like today, like in the city of Wilmington, we need to have those same kind of marches when we have a shooting, or they shouldn't have those kind of marches?
I think that we should demonstrate our outrage with things that are going on in our community that's not right, things that affect the quality of life, things that just are not fair. We have children now that are afraid to go outside and play in front of their house. We have older folks that can't go out on their porch. And so why don't we solidify our efforts and come together to say, we're not going to put up with this. You're not going to come terrorize our neighborhood on the east side or on the west side. We're not going to put up with that, and we're going to demonstrate on your block. We're going to get the police involved. We're going to get the preachers involved, and we're going to boycott stores who sell anything in their store that's going to mess up our neighborhood.
Wow, that's a great point. Thanks, Larry. Thank you for joining me, Wayne. How you doing?
Welcome.
Wayne, you've been listening to the conversation, right? And I certainly, this is a real serious conversation this evening. You know, and I talked about a few incidents where I felt like, because as a black person, that I was being discriminated against. You know, sometimes you can't prove it, but you can feel it. Have you ever been put in that kind of situation? I mean, I even said it about the News Journal. I thought, like, the guy Chris Barris, in my opinion, I thought was being a little bigoted. I think that some of the blacks was, adding to that, so he wasn't all the person that totally wrong. And so where do you fall in with some of this conversation?
I mean, I remember.
Hold on for 1 second, okay?
I can remember very clearly, I guess it was like 1995 when I was going to build a home. And I went to one home buyer, and the lady inside, she treated me like real crazy.
Wow.
But then, I called and complained, but ended up building a home with another builder just based on how she treated me. I mean, I was right. Devastated. And I guess the crazy part is that I listened to my grandfather talk about the same things that, the things that he dealt with, but yet we're still experiencing those, maybe not as intense as they experienced, but we still experience the same things.
I heard Pastor D's analogy of the word, the N-word, and the way the young lady described it. But do you think that one person should be punished as much as the other person, or it should be like across the board, or because we as a people feel differently when it comes from someone else?
I think the unfortunate thing, even with females, they can call each other the B word.
Yeah, right,
which I think is ridiculous. So, if we're allowing each other to call, how do we get offended if somebody else calls it the same thing?
That's a great, how you doing? Welcome to the show. Great point. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing, Norman? Wayne, it's Julius.
Hey, Julius.
Hey, and the point I want to make, Norman, that the prosecution got whipped bad, but at the same time, this was the same prosecution that the young lady was getting beat up. She shot a warning shot. This is the same prosecution that gave the wife 20 years in prison. I think the prosecution blew it purposely, and nobody's talking about this girl got 20 years for getting beat up, who shot a warning shot in her house. This was the same prosecution that prosecuted her. So I just think there was a lot of mistakes made, and.
But you know what though? I don't think if they had Johnny Cochran, he would have got off. Hold on.
I just disagree. I just think the prosecution messed up again. Normally, the woman, the same people prosecuted the woman for 20. She got 20 years for throwing a warning shot.
Okay. Hey, thanks, Jew. All right. Bye bye.
All right.
So what am I turning down? Good. You can turn it down, because I think a lot of people are calling in and they hear that. Go ahead. You can do it. Man, we ad lib on this show. You can show your face. You doing all the work, and don't worry about it.
We talked about the incident that Julius was talking about.
All right, we'll figure it out. Hold for 1 second, okay? Good.
And I think they're saying because she shot the gun, left, and came back. But I mean, I understand what he's saying. I agree with him. This woman was abused. And I said earlier, she probably shot the gun like that was your last time to put your hand on me, and you do it again.
But that was in Florida too, right?
In Florida.
But that's what I'm saying. Stay in your ground.
I know.
So you can only stay in your ground, but not if you're black.
But when I talked to a lawyer, they said it is a domestic dispute, which is different from the stay in your ground thing. So that's the technicality that she got on.
So domestic dispute, you shoot a gun in the air,
and
you
you
get 20
go to
years,
jail, right? But you shoot
black,
somebody, kill them, you free.
Well, that was a domestic dispute. That was a fight. How you doing? Welcome. I don't know. That doesn't sound right to me. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hello, Lama. How you and the lady doing?
I'm fine.
This is Big on Thomas William, labor local 199.
How you doing?
All right. I just want to tell you about this. Lebanon and Washington, the last holiday, something happened there. But anyhow, it was 17 police there. Okay, a lady moved from on Lancaster Avenue and moved over Southbridge, and she called for the police because her daughter was trying to take the kid from her, and she wouldn't get the kid up. It took the police 2 hours before they come over there. And it's pitiful. It's racist here in the state of Delaware because they did me the same way, hour and 15 minutes. So y'all have a blessed night.
Thank you. And you know, and again, let's continue this have these open and frank conversation about, and also if I don't want to get too crazy, but I want to hear from everyone. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying, Wayna? Right. Because I didn't know about the domestic part of it. You know what I mean? Because they say that you can have a gun on your chair or something, if you're driving around. I saw, me and Gundy was just riding today. We ride down Lancaster Avenue, a guy walking around with a gun in his shorts, literally in open. And his girlfriend's walking with a baby. I was like, wow, I've seen it all. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
How you doing, Norman? This is Dinah. How you doing?
Hey, Dinah. How you doing, buddy?
I think that we as a people need to take responsibilities for ourselves.
Hey, Dinah, do me a favor. Turn your TV down a little bit, because I want to hear what you got to say. See that?
Okay, I think we as a people need to take responsibility for ourselves as well. Mm-hmm. I think the young ladies need to start dressing a little better, stop exposing ourselves. I think that the young men need to start pulling up their pants. I also think that, we got churches on each corner. I think each church needs to take a block. Wow. If you're having a problem in your neighborhood, then start something in your neighborhood to try to clean up your neighborhood. Don't come into a neighborhood with the churches and then go home. I think that if we start respecting ourselves and stop calling each other those names, the N words and the B words and stuff like that, you got to start respecting yourself. So if we start respecting ourselves, I think things will kind of be a little better for ourselves and our people and our children.
Wow, great.
But you got to respect yourself in order for other people to respect you.
That's a great point. Thank you, Diana.
Excellent point.
Yeah, it goes back to what you're saying. Believe it or not, some of our problems in our community are worse with the girls.
Most definitely.
You know what I mean? And it goes back to what she's saying. I don't know if it's just a respect issue or they just don't care.
I think it has to do with the value system not being taught, letting them know that they are worth something, they do have value, and as the caller said, to respect themselves in order for someone else to respect. And it's terrible. Sometimes I'm out, I could be downtown, and you hear the young girls just cursing, and I used to be more would not be so afraid to go up to them and say, listen, you know, respect yourself, stop cursing. But now I've kind of shied away from that because I don't want not anything to happen to me for trying to tell them to respect themselves. So the caller is definitely right. We, as women and men, have to respect ourselves in order for others to respect us.
Do you think a lot of this stuff is starting to be attributed to some, what do you think we're going to have to do as a society to fight some of this race relations? I know that's a big question. Think about it. How you doing? Welcome to the show. Hello? 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 How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Good evening, Norm. I just wanted to say I agree with your caller, Larry, and your last caller. My heart goes out to Tavon's parents, and we're talking about racism, but we have black crime on black crime. We need to teach our kids that booty is not beauty. You know, we need to teach our kids. We need to not only work with the police, but these politicians should have their hands on it too. We have to teach our children to make our community safe, and this is what I think we need to do, work with them and teach them.
Thank you so very much.
Children are our future.
Well, thank you very much. And I think basically what she's saying is, you know, the Trayvon Martin's case is highlighting a whole bunch of other underlying issues that are happening in our communities. I mean, you know, this is serious. And see, I have a son, and I think that's what our president was saying.
Right.
You know, I would be devastated. You know, I'm devastated when I hear about some of the young folks who played in my basketball league. You know, and to see somebody kill someone and walk, it's just, you know, I tell you a case. I tell you a case. You know, when we talk about racism and all this kind of stuff. How you doing? Welcome. Hold on for 1 second, okay? I remember I was actually a counselor at Christiana High School, and a young black kid. He was a football player. He was a junior, and he had been dating a young white girl they went together since their freshman year. You know, everybody knew they were a kind of item. Turn your TV down. Hold for 1 second. And so it's too loud. And so what happened was, this white guy didn't like them dating, so he actually came up and called the guy N-word, and called the white girl an N-lover, and then he threw a punch at the guy, the black guy. So it's a fight. The black guy just beat the dude to smithereens, right? But they wanted to expel the black kid for like 90 days, and wanted to suspend the white guy for 5 days. And he was going to graduate. And I was like, nah, you can't do that. It's a fight. And this guy instigated the fight. Because he lost the fight, and he looks bad, don't mean you could do this. You know, so it's that kind of stuff that was even happening in the schools. And I saw it. I was a counselor. This guy would have been, if I wasn't there, and thank Jay Street, I really thank Jay Street. Right. I had to call Jay Street in on this. So Jay, thank you. And he looked at the case and he's like, you must be crazy. How are you going to expel this kid? But we resolved it, but it's that kind of stuff, you know?
But that was just one incident because, I mean, I don't know if you remember, he had the report out of several incidents where black children were treated differently from.
But this is what I saw with my own eyes. I was a counselor. And they telling me, like, you got to expel this kid. I said, no, it was a fight. And this guy instigated the fight. You do it. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hi, how you doing, Norman?
How you doing?
I agree with a lot of the comments that have been made. I agree that our girls now are somewhat worse than, you know, our males. But also, the young lady was saying that, you know, she's afraid to say something to the kids. We still need to get back to being a community. And I say something to them, but you got to do it in love. And I understand your concern because kids are so different. So you want to be, concerned about how you approach them. But you say things in love. I was at McDonald's one night, and the little girl didn't realize she had the mic on. Oh, and she was just cussing and saying things. So when I got to the mic, I said to her, honey, did you know the mic was on? I said, but you are so pretty. Why would you want to use words like that? And she apologized because people in the drive-in were actually laughing at her. So I think if we get to the point where, we do it in love, then, maybe they'll receive it more. You got to speak their language. You got to be able to communicate with them, meet people where they are, and then they'll be more adapt, to responsive to you when you say certain things, to them. Now, I live in the 1700 block of the 800 block of East 17th Street, And I look at some of the young ladies, and I do stuff. You know, I go out. So what I'm going to do is we're going to start having prayer on 17th Street for, you know, the young people, especially the young ladies. I watch these girls walk up and down the street with their babies in strollers in the rain. I'm like, honey, why you got that baby out? So there's some things that we can really do to, you know, get back. We need to start being, you know, saying things to people's kids, being able to correct people's kids. That's another problem. When we grew up, everybody could say something.
Yeah,
you know,
not no more. Not no more. You can't do that no more.
You can't.
Yeah, I mean, you try to.
You can, but again, you got to start somewhere.
No, and I agree. You know, no. This is a valid conversation because our next door neighbor, Miss Smith, Miss Bean, Miss Stella, Miss Cooper, they would all correct us. But everybody's doors was open. We could go in there. We could go in there. They could come in our houses, and they would correct us. And if we said something to our mother would correct us in front of them.
Yeah, we just got to come up with some other ways to approach them.
I mean, well, even the discipline in schools was different back then.
Yeah, I mean, now they call it corporal punishment. They want to make, nobody's going to let you just beat their kids. And some people might not even know what corporal punishment is. So when you use that terminology, no, you're not going to use corporal punishment on my kids, but there still has to be a way that we can discipline these kids. This race thing is real. People need to address it. People are afraid to adjust it. You look at things now. The judicial system is nothing but a racial system to keep our black men down.
Wow.
I mean, they do some of it to themselves. I agree with that. But what I'm saying is they keep them on probation and all that kind of stuff. They need jobs. We need to create things. People
That's what I've been saying.
Chances.
That's what I say all the time.
We need to give people chances.
Thank you so much for your call. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're enjoying the show. We're going to be here for another hour. We're going to talk about this until you get tired of hearing it. Wayne, you don't have to stay, but
I won't be staying on.
Yeah, but I appreciate you coming through, and adding your point of view to it. I mean, and you can feel our passion on this conversation because in a crazy kind of way, even with Sammy and Cherry and what those guys are doing, what they talk about with Lapa, and even business or whatever, I appreciate them. We all are not going to agree all the time, but trust me, I appreciate all the work that some people like you every Sunday come here. People don't realize that it's not that easy. So thank you. Keep on. I see you was with the boss man tonight. Yes, the boss. No, you didn't say that. I'm joking. Thank you, Wayne.
You're welcome, Norman. Thank you for having me.
How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hello, Norman. This is Annabelle Avery, Warren Avery mother. You know Warren.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, I want to say something, Norman. I have been watching this show. Yes, I've been watching your show too, but I've been watching this trial ever since it happened. And we all know that it's racist. But what I really want to say, I wish they would quit saying that George Zimmerman is free.
Right.
People need to read their Bible and read what Jesus says. Nobody is free until Jesus makes them free.
Wow, okay, thank you.
If Jesus don't set you free, then you are not free. And what we need to do is really read our Bible and hear what he said. He said, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. So George Zimmerman is not free. He is not going to be blessed. He is going to get his in God time, because we have to also remember that God time is not our time, and our time is not God time. He works on his own time. So he is going to get his in the past. It could be next year, year after next, and it could be after I go home to be with the Lord. But mark my word, he's going to get it, because he knows that he was wrong by shooting that boy down in cold blood.
Thank you.
And like I said, that the whole trial was fixed. So that's all I need to say to you. The people need to say that he is free.
Thank you very much.
To my knowledge, he is not free.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, what we try to do every Sunday is educate you. We like to have conversations that other people may not have. I think that this conversation needs to be had, and we're going to talk about it. We need to talk about. I was talking to Marvin Newton, a friend of mine. He was talking about he felt like he's been discriminated by some of his own people when it comes to getting jobs, and I felt that too, Marvin. Dude, I can run the whole gambit. It doesn't matter. I can talk about all kinds of stuff. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Yes, this is Norman too.
Yes, ma'am.
Welcome to the show. Hi. Okay. let me turn this thing down. Wow. I'm so glad to get with you, Norman. I'm an old lady, 86 years old.
Oh, God bless you.
And I'm so glad to hear all the good comments and all that.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
ma'am. I wish if she could have turned her TV down, because I really would like to ask her some questions. 86, she could probably shed some light on a whole bunch of stuff. This is your show, ladies and gentlemen. And a lot of people just like to watch the show. Like a guy like Hal Bloxham called in last week and said that he doesn't even call in. But trust me, there's a lot of people who watch the show. I saw John Casey with DCA the other day. He said, Norm, I watch your show every Sunday. This was a white guy who's a friend who people really enjoy it. But I wish they would call and give us their perspective too. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hi, Norman. How you doing?
All right.
All right. I just want to say that the trial, they kind of flipped the script. Zimmerman wasn't on trial for exactly what happened. He was on trial for self-defense, and that's what they want, self-defense. But we all know that, that Zimmerman pulled the trigger. And see, that's how law works. Wherever they can win the case, they're going to win the case.
Let me ask you a question. Hold on for 1 second, because that's a good point. I'm glad you called in, because you always have good points. So he was on trial for self-defense, right? But didn't they change it and try to charge him with second-degree murder?
Well, they tried to, but then his lawyers kept, pushing self-defense. And that's what won the case, self-defense. Mm-hmm. And see, it's a shame that happened, but that's how it goes in the court of law. And another thing about the N-word, now white America, they're using the N-word just like black America, and it's been accepted with white America. They sit down in conversations and call one another the N-word, and that's another thing that's what's happening in the world today. I mean, it's just accepted now because we allowed it to be accepted because we started using it in these rap records, and they just take it on and do what they want to do with it.
Well, look at our comedians. Look at Dave Chappelle. Look at Richard Pryor. These guys use it. They use it everyday words.
Yeah, I know, and that's what's wrong with the world today.
Right? Am I right?
You're right. You're right.
I mean, and we look at. I mean, I look at Dave Chappelle. I mean, and Richard Pryor is probably known as one of the greatest comedians in the history of Black America. So, yeah, it's something that we got to address, and we're going to deal with it tonight. Thank you for your call. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hi, good evening, Norm. This is Mike.
Hey, Mike. How you doing, buddy?
All right, brother. I'm on the mend, so I'm thankful to be here.
Right.
Listen, good show, great topic. Sad that we must discuss this right now. But when you think about things and what has not been mentioned during the course of many conversations is the relevance of something that was done years ago in the 1700s by a man named Willie Lynch. The making of a slave and how to control a people. And the things that are going on within our community are just textbook examples taken from that theory, pitting the old against the young, the light against the dark, and all of these different things. You won't hear much discussion about this because if people were to investigate and to study these principles, there would be an awakening and it would disrupt the status quo. People of our own race who are in positions of comfortability will become uncomfortable.
Talk about it.
And those in other communities that are able to benefit from our dependency, their business interests would become unstable. So you're not going to hear much discussion about that. I might be one of the only people that ever mention it. So
no. I think it's a great topic, Mike. And Willie Lynch is an incredible book, and Al Plant was the one who put me down with that too. And for those who just tuned in, I know a lot of you tune in, and it's the Weeks Hour. Bishop Weeks and Aziz were very kind to let us talk about this issue during this hour, so that's why we're on. So if you just tuned in, it's not the Weeks Hour. We're talking about race relations here. Come on in, John. Here in the city of Wilmington. Go here, sit you down.
Norm, if I could also interject, I believe that it all begins with looking at self.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And when I say self, I mean that individually and collectively. And until you respect yourself, defend yourself, and be proactive in your own regard, you're going to remain in a reactionary position, which is not a position of power. That's all I wanted to say, Norm.
Hey, thank you, Mike, and thank you for always encouraging, brother.
Thank you, brother.
How you doing? Welcome to the show. We're on the marathon this evening.
Hello, Norman.
Uh-huh.
This is Kermit.
How you doing, Kermit?
I'm doing well. I watched a lot of the Zimmerman trial, and I thought the prosecution did a terrible job of presenting their case. There were several things that I saw wrong in their attempt to prosecute. First of all, Zimmerman never identified himself as Town Watch when he approached Trayvon Martin. Never identified himself. All he had to do then was to indicate that he was Town Watch and ask who was this person. Who are you? He didn't do that. Now, it was mentioned that several times that Zimmerman was taking mixed martial arts 3 times a week and had been doing it for 18 months. Now, that's a lot of training. He was a trained fighter. My little exposure to martial arts tells me, and I learned that if your opponent is taller than you, then what you want to do is get into his body and take him down to the ground to neutralize his advantage of height and reach. I think that's what happened.
Hey, Kermit, can I stop? Do you think it had a lot to do with race, this entire trial, since you were watching it?
Oh, no question about it. And I think from the very beginning, when the judge instructed them that they could not use racial profiling, that they could only say profiled, what they were doing was protecting themselves from future litigation from the federal government in a civil rights trial. In order for it to be considered prosecutable by the federal government for civil rights violation, race had to be obvious in the case. But the judge indicated from the very beginning that they were not to use the word race along with profiling in that trial.
Hey, well, that's a good point. Thank you for calling, Kermit. That's a good point. How you doing, John?
Hey, what's up?
John just joined me. I tell you, I'm inviting people down. We're going to be talking about this issue. John, we had a discussion a little bit when you called in about the N-word, and you brought up some points about Paula Deen and some of your thoughts, and I read some of your blogs. Did you understand what I was saying? That when we had to also stop using it too? And what's your thoughts on that? And what's your thoughts on the whole case, the whole Zimmerman case?
All right. Well, first of all, just to reiterate my point about the Paula Deen situation, you asked, should Paula Deen lose her endorsements for having used the N-word over 20 years ago? And at first blush, anyone would say, okay, that's a little bit unreasonable.
Hold on for a second, okay?
Right.
Great. Not you.
Okay, because we call ourselves a nation of redemption and second chances. However, you fast forward to 2013, Paula Deen still doesn't get it when she explains her mindset and her rationale around not only the things she said, but the things she did. Once again, she had this mass dinner party, and she hired a whole bunch of dark-skinned black men, put tuxedos on them, so that they could appear as slave servants to the guests at this dinner party. And part and parcel of her answer to that was, well, they look very nice, and they well dressed and everything. I mean, she's saying this in 2013, so it's like, okay, you just don't seem to get it. And so when you talk about race in the Zimmerman trial, it's that it's that closet racism. It's that racism that the other side is not even aware of. A lot of like this jury, I don't think that this jury was racist per se. What I believe, like Paula Deen, is that you're only seeing things through one lens, the lens that you grew up with. So this jury, it was not possible for them to see Trayvon Martin as a scared kid when a grown man accosted him, who's a stranger to him, who he doesn't know, and he's in his own neighborhood.
Gotcha. Hey, Pastor D, you came down here. Thank you for running down to the show after the call. Let me ask you a question. Do you think, and I stopped by the rally, I saw you guys on stage and all that, and we do a lot of marching and rallies. Do you think that our strategy needs to start changing, or do you think rallies and marches are still very important?
I think they're still very important, and for some things brother alluded to, let's put some things in context. The statement she made in 2013 was, I wanted a plantation-style setting. Mm-hmm. And the danger of a Paula Deen is she represents the institution that finances the bigotry and racism that goes on today. Rush Limbaugh was caught with boxes of Oxycontin. It wasn't for personal use. We talking about distribution level Oxycontin when he got arrested. So where was that Oxycontin going? The Panther Party, when they formed their neighborhood watch, were called Enemies to America. And Mr. Kahuva and the FBI destroyed them, killed black men for wanting to not watch their neighborhoods. George Zimmerman is a hero. The Panther Party were zeros. There is a double standard in America, and what makes us required to stand up, Norm, today is that George Zimmerman received $30,000 a month. Up to date, he's received something like $500,000 from a sponsor or a person who is committed to hatred, bigotry, racism, and you're going to find it's tied to the proliferation of guns, etc. Here in Delaware, we have a group I'll be speaking to on Wednesday I didn't even know existed.
Yeah, I'm going to be there.
Yeah,
Hold up thought.
For the Zimmerman family that ticked me off, the black Republican man was on this seat this morning, and I got dressed and came down here and tried to get him to engage me in dialogue because he made a statement regarding the organizers of the Wilmington rally, namely Pastor Sylvester Beeman and others. And he made a statement that all these black leaders organizing these rallies, stirring up the pot across America, are hoaxsters. He called us hoaxsters, or he called them, because Pastor Beeman organized Wilmington. And I